Hello, hello, and welcome to the Explain It podcast. I am your host, Ingryd Hernandez. With us today is a very special guest who's going to blow our minds with this amazing technology that he's using and hopefully will make our lives as investors so much easier. But first, some housekeeping real quick. Remember, guys, I am co-creator of creativelisting.com. And so it's a free platform. So any of you can actually join Creative Listing and post your deals for free. It's a marketplace. We are starting to test a couple of other really cool features, which obviously would be an upgrade. But in the meantime, leverage it. It's a free platform, free to sell all your deals. So don't forget, it's out there for you. And then the other thing is if you are somebody who is very Spanish based or has family members that are very Spanish based and want an opportunity to learn about real estate and how to get started, we are having our event tomorrow in Scottsdale. Normally it's on the west side, but tomorrow we're going to have it in Scottsdale here in Arizona. It's face-to-face. It's not virtual. We want people to feel comfortable speaking oftentimes in their native tongue. Or if you're practicing Spanish, come and join us. It's a great place to speak Spanish because, if you ever want to speak a different language, you kind of have to immerse yourself with people who speak that language because then it forces you. That's exactly what I'm doing. My Spanish could be better. Having this group is forcing me to speak more Spanish and practice. So I have no other option. I must speak Spanish. So come on down to Chinatown. Just kidding. To Scottsdale in Arizona and join us tomorrow for Latinos Sin Límites. And if you don't know how to get there, just find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is right here, Ingryd, INGRYD_Hernandez. And I will send you the link to the event. Just let me know that you're looking for the Latinos event. Okay. Without further ado, we are going to bring up Mr. Mundo Sanchez.
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm helping you work on your Spanish today by pronouncing my name.
Oh, Mundo Sanchez?
Yeah, yes, even though I don't speak Spanish.
I guess I need to be at that meetup. We're going to have to help you with that.
I don't know. Yeah, my parents, or my dad mainly, tried to teach me when I was younger, growing up, and they said I just continued to laugh at them, and they just eventually gave up, which sucks because I really wish I knew Spanish. It puts me in an awkward position every time I go to places like Puerto Rico or something. I don't know if I ever want to go back because every single person laughed at me when I said I didn't know Spanish, and I was just like, this is rough. I did take 4 years in high school.
You're gonna have to be known for a gringo name, like, hi, my name is John.
Yeah, I took 4 years of high school in Spanish, but it really didn't do it justice. It didn't stick.
I really do believe that the best thing is to go immerse yourself. Literally the 2 hours I'm providing on Thursdays once a month is go there and practice because you have no other option. These people primarily do not speak English, many of them, not everyone. And so it's forcing yourself. So my brother didn't grow up speaking Spanish. My mom speaks Spanish. She's straight up out of Colombia, so am I. But what she did was the lazy way. She sent my brother to Colombia for a summer, and then he learned because he was interested in it. So, yeah.
There you go.
So Mundo, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into real estate? You and I have a lot of similarities in sort of our backgrounds in that, we were corporate people. But I would say you have a few more accolades than I do. I believe you got some sort of awards for being such an amazing corporate guy, like CFO level. So tell the people how cool you are and how much you love math.
Yeah, I don't know if I really love math, but it definitely has turned into something I've used quite a bit every day. But I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas, so I'm in Owners Club as well, and going to San Antonio here in a few weeks. So that'll be the first time I'll be back there in actually quite a while. And I played baseball my whole life, so I was very, very competitive from a young age. I ended up playing junior college my first 2 years. We were ranked top 10 in the country. And then from there, I went to play Division I. I went to a small Division I school in Mississippi. I got to play against the SEC, Alabama, like LSU, Tennessee, like all the big schools, right? And it was cool because they would basically pay to kick our ass. They would pay our school they would like wine and dine us, give us the best like hotels, the best bus to come in there and like pad their stats because we weren't as good as they were, obviously.
Yeah. Fattening you before the kill. Got it.
Yeah. So we got to travel to all those places. It was awesome because our field sucked. But it was really cool.
You know that I played junior college ball?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I played softball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah, we talked about that briefly. Yeah. So I've always been very competitive, and it's just been inside me my whole life. And after college, I graduated, got a job in corporate America, worked at a Fortune 100 company for the first 3 years out of college, and realized that Fortune 100 or big corporate America wasn't a good fit for me. So I went to a startup. And that's where I was a CFO for the past 10 years. And, I got to a point where I realized that just not only am I not a good fit for corporate America, I'm just not a good fit for any W-2 type of role, honestly. And so now I've kind of ventured off and started doing my own things, but getting into real estate. I've been in real estate for about 10 years now, but really started getting into it, I'd say 3 years ago when I joined Sub2. That's when I started very intentionally learning how to do creative finance. It was always, an element or just a byproduct previously. And now it's like all I focus on is creative finance. And that's really how I started growing and scaling portfolio and buying houses and accumulating just a really, really deep expertise in real estate. And it was really easy transition for me because I was already in it, familiar with it. Used to dealing with lenders and banks, talking about balance sheets and all that kind of stuff in my CFO role. So I already knew the language, right? Like there wasn't a huge barrier that I had to cross. Like there's, when you're just getting started, there's a lot of things that you have to jump through. There's mindset issues. And then once you get past the mindset issues, you have to get to the, the semantics and the understanding of the language of real estate. Well, it was I've already gone past all that. So I really just got to the point of, learning how to do creative finance, which it is a different skill set than traditional, obviously. And once I kind of had a good grasp on that, I was able to, hit the ground running and start growing. And that's what brought me to where I'm at today. And, all the collective skills that I've accumulated over the past 13 years of my professional career have kind of led me to this moment of, kind of going out on my own and, seeing what I can do. And just the time in which we're living in, AI, and just how fast everything's moving. If I can't figure out how to make a living in today's world with the domain that I'm focused on, which is largely AI and business, then I don't know what I'm going to do, because everyone has the tools to make money at their disposal. Obviously, you shiny object syndrome does become a thing, right? You eventually have to pick a path, and there's so many different paths that you can go. But we also live in a time where it's so easy to, do things if you have the skill set, I will say, create and launch software products. The barrier is become so low that you can roll something out, get a proof of concept, deploy it, and see what sticks, right? And I'm actually doing that. So I started a AI venture studio, and I'm actually launching several products, not just, one. So, and I'm figuring out, okay, what is a good product market fit? I'm not going to, well, there is one software that I have spent a significant amount of time, full time the past about 6 months. But some of the other ones, I'm just kind of dabbling and just trying to get like what they call an MVP, a minimally viable product, something enough to where it's like, okay, I'll pay some money for that, right? Maybe it's not fully developed, but you just want a proof of concept. And if you can get people to start paying you, then that's the market giving you an indication that you have something that, is worth something, right? And then you can decide to pour in the time And I even myself, I sometimes get caught up in just really trying to drive perfection and really trying to create all the bells and whistles before the demand's even there. So I have to reel myself back and not put too much into one area and focus on, developing that MVP, but then also focusing on sales to grow the business. Because if I just focus all in on the product, you could have the world's greatest product, but if you don't have distribution, you have nothing, right? Like
nobody knows about it.
Yeah, no, it's not going to sell itself. So
Yeah.
distribution is really, really important. And, when you're developing a product, it's very biased because you, of course, think it's the greatest thing on the planet. Otherwise, why would you waste the time building it? But other people have to also think that too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a double-edged sword with how awesome it is to launch products and the entrance barrier is so low. The other side of that is the entrance barrier is so low so that whenever you're building a product and you want to monetize, you have to outcompete what everyone else can do themselves, because now everybody has the power to be a developer. And if you can't create a product that creates enough value in the marketplace that someone looks at it and says, oh, I'm not even going to attempt to build that. I'm just going to pay them because I'm paying them for the value they've spent the time, 6 months or whatever, blood, sweat, and tears developing this. I don't want to do it because it's part of my core business, but I don't want to turn into a full-time developer. Those are the decisions that, you want customers making, because if they look at your product and see, oh, I could just build that in 30 minutes. Well, you're going to get obliterated over the next, you're seeing it now. Honestly, I won't say I'm definitely not the normal person in the sense that like I'm heavy into tech, but I look at things and I've canceled a lot of subscriptions over the past few months because I've just gone out and built it. And, I've eliminated several $100s where I've like taken something I was paying, $20, $30 here or there for this, and literally in an hour gone, like cancel subscription. I've already built it. I've integrated it. I've customized it. I've made it 10 times better for my business. And so those are the things that you have to be careful about when you're building, SaaS products in this day and age. So,
yeah. I think those are all really great points. And, what I was going to mention while you were saying build something so valuable that people don't want to waste their time trying to build it themselves. I was talking to Bobby Salza. He's my business partner on my wholesaling side, and reminding him what a cool tool you have. And he's like, I go, oh, wait, Bobby, you're going to try to build it yourself? He's like, no, Mundo already built it. Like, why would I waste my time? I got other things to work on. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I know he got a sneak peek a while ago. So I'm excited to see what does the outcome look like so that we can incorporate it into our business.
Yeah. And there's people out there, I've run across them that they're scaling their portfolio, and for them, it makes sense to build something in-house. Obviously they're not going to have the bells and whistles that I'm going to have, but they just want this little thing solved for them. But there's so many people that just, they don't want to touch that, right? Like it takes away from their core business. And I've seen the other side where I've seen some investors that are pretty successful and they really want to scale. And what they've been doing is taking the past 3 or 4 months trying to compete with me, in the sense that I'm doing this full time. Like you're not there. No one is going to beat me in this domain of this product because I'm spending 15, 16 hours a day doing it, using the most advanced AI that everyone is using as well. So like there's no competitive advantage because it's a level playing field. We have the same access to AI, but I'm just crushing people on time just because of how much I'm pouring into it. And I already had a good foundation of this product for, I started it about 7 months ago, something like that. And before the AI boom, for me in my head, AI has been around for a while, but the open claw, when that came out, like when it became mainstream, like I think it was in that like January, February timeframe or something like that. That's when it really, really took off and Claude Code like really started expanding. And luckily I don't know if it's luckily or not. actually, if Claude or if OpenClaw and all that had boomed before I started developing this, I don't know if I would have started this product, because I probably would have been intimidated by the fact of like how fast things are moving. Because over the past few months, things are moving so fast, but it's forced me to be in an uncomfortable position, which I'm pretty familiar with. And I have to raise my bar. Like, my bar is usually really high, but I have to raise it this high because of how fast things are moving. I have to stay on top of AI. And again, it goes back to the competitive advantage. If the playing field is even, fair game, right? But if someone has access to something that I'm not aware of for a month or 2 months, what is that? Then I start to lose that gap. And so I'm constantly looking at improving everything I'm doing with my tech stack, becoming more efficient, and really just developing and shipping products as fast as I can. But then also knowing when to take a step back and, focus on some underlying things, which I have had to, spend a couple of months really focusing on some underlying infrastructure things to make sure that I can continue to grow at the level that I want to grow. Because it's a commercial product that I'm building, and it's different than your own internal tool that no one has access to, that it's on local host, and you're not even, on the internet really. And you don't have to worry about the stuff that I have to worry about. So it's a different level. It's a different ball game, and it's a lot more work, especially when you can't just focus on or at least I can't just focus on my personal use case of how I use the software. I have to focus on 20 different personalities and different business use cases that I have to worry about and solve their problems as well.
You have to dumb proof it, is what I like to call it. You got to dumb proof it, because you have to be able to manage the whole spectrum of people using it. And as you know, like as a co-founder of creativelisting.com, myself and Raz think about that all the time. Like, we have to build Creative Listing in such a way that you should not need a how-to. It should, it should organically take you to all the pieces that you need. And even if you have to try to figure out what's the problem, like with your profile or whatever, that you can navigate to those things easily and then just click on things. You can't break it. So just do what you got to go do. So you have to kind of think of that perspective. And I was a product owner in my corporate world, in master data management. So we had to work a lot with software, do MVP, go through the agile process. Like, as a user in the, accounts receivable department, I have to be able to XYZ. And I know that this has been successful if I can, blah, blah, blah. Those are agile stories that you want to make sure like you're covering as a part of your development. So it can get complicated. And if you're a girl like me now, I'm like, I just want convenience. Is it done yet, Mundo? Is it done? Because I don't want to go through all that. You could have that. So that's one reason I'm so grateful for Raz. I call him 1 week Raz, because if anybody's ever been a part of a product development, having improvements be delivered in 1 week turnarounds is really difficult. And so we're building an enterprise tool, a commercial tool, just like you. And you have to go. That's what's really cool, though. Like, you can create a quality control AI agent. Like, there's pieces that would normally have slowed down development. There's still fundamentals you should have as a part of developing a platform, a product. This is what's crazy, though. I don't know if you saw this story. I should probably forward it to you. I read it this morning and I sent it to Raz. I sent it to Nathan Cahill, like Owen. I was like, this AI agent decided to delete production and back up. Do you see that?
I don't even know how that happens. Like, I really don't. Like, that's crazy.
And the agent had the rules to not do that. It was against what they had already thought they securitized. And I was like,
I guess now that I think about it, one thing that recently an issue I was having on our platform is that I have very specific parameters, and I have over well over 600,000 lines of code in my platform. Like there's no way I could sit there and read every line of code. Like it's just not possible. That's why like AI is empowering solo developers to like build this product that normally I would have had to have a team of 10 to be able to do this, right? And so like I have this main and underwriting engine algorithm that powers the entire platform. Well, for months, I thought I was working on one source of code that was, one complete engine. And then I ended up later through actual like manual code review and some like bugs that like were reported that I was like, this doesn't make sense that this is happening. And I started diving into the code and realized there was 15 different variations of this algorithm being referenced that wasn't the core algorithm, and it was AI creating what they thought was the right thing to do. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So like to go and unwind that, I spent 4 days trying to unwind all that stuff, and that's lost time. But also I'm not going to complain because I'm the speed in which I'm moving is the speed of 10 people, so it's like
but under normal circumstances it would have been like 6 months
yeah, it's like now that I think about that, like that is a drastic and wild scenario of production database like being deleted. But now it's like, well, if that scenario happened to me, it's like, I guess it is possible. I will say, like, over the past week, I've become a Codex, like, which is the Chat GPT product, especially with the 5.5 release, their newer model. I have become a maxi of that. Now, there's some corporate things that I don't necessarily agree with, but like for me, I'm looking at the best like model. Whatever's the best AI that is powering my business, that's what I'm going to use. And it has been crushing it for me lately, where Claude Code was just struggling, spinning its wheels on the same thing over and over and over again. And Codex has just been crushing it. So I'm using both right now, but Codex is really killing it lately.
Yeah. I'm also not a Sam Altman fan, but yes, I hear you. Like,
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
comes to the rescue when I need like, okay, my stuff is super basic, where I'm like, okay, write me a description for this listing because I don't want to spend the 30 minutes to think about it. But yeah, for sure, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we've kind of just been on the surface level of what product you're building. Are we able to kind of talk a little bit more what that product is, so that everybody who's kind of hinging on those words knows what you're building for the masses?
Yeah, for sure. So it's a AI underwriting software that's really focused on the entire like lead acquisition process. So it actually does a lot more than just underwriting. And so like it is that full front end process. And so there's, we started 6 months ago. It's definitely ready, right? It's in production. People are using it. A lot of people are using it. There's things that are on the roadmap and that are going to happen over the next 6 months that are going to make this thing like out of this freaking world, in my opinion, and biasedly. So we can kind of like talk about what's on the roadmap versus where we're at today.
Yeah.
But right now, like I have the same capability of like a lot of those large data platforms where you can put it, so you can put in an address and then underwrite the property. And the core benefit is that it's buy box driven, and it's called Buy Box Club. So you put in your buy box. You actually don't even have to put in your buy box. By default, it creates you templates. And that's another thing of building this product, is I underestimated how lazy people really are. Because it would take like, let's say 5 to 10 minutes to set up your buy box in the beginning of when I launched. And I realized that like no one was taking the time to set up their buy box. They were like, oh, this is too much work. And I'm just like, all right. So I had to go solve that problem and then create templates. So basically every new user that joins the platform, they're starting with my buy box. Like that's what they're starting with. And then if they want to go in and make changes, knock yourself out, right? A lot of people don't make changes. But for the people that are serious and are looking to scale, you really should make changes, because that's going to dictate what is sent to you, right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing in this next phase is really just driving traffic. So I don't have free users on it yet as far as like a good user experience. That's one of the things I'm working on probably next week, hopefully, where free users can come onto the platform and underwrite using other people's buy boxes. So what that looks like is, let's say, Ingrid, you have a buy box and you have 20 bird dogs that are all wanting to send you deals. And instead of them sending you these emails, and you have to, like, you know, because again, obviously you're busy, right? So like you have to respond to the emails. And not only do you have to respond to the emails, you have to underwrite them, and then they want feedback on why the deal is a bad deal. And you have to kind of like coach and give that education. Like, you're eating up so much time, and in reality what happened is, like, it wasn't a good deal and you've effectively wasted your time, right?
Wait. Can I pause you for a moment? So maybe is this where you're going with this? So I do have tons of people who send me deals, and admittedly, I'm behind on knowing whether it's a deal or not. And that's one thing I was going to go try to solve with AI, is like, how do I have AI read? Now, I am using a CRM. So I expect people to go to ingridhernandez.com. They submit it. What I haven't done is plugged in an AI, which is where I was hoping your tool might be able to help me. Maybe this is a graduated piece, but what I heard you say is, let's say I have like an enterprise level subscription. Anybody who goes to, I guess, my link or my domain or my buy box, people submit against my buy box, and then you're essentially taking care of the work that I would have done to tell them whether or not it's good to go on my buy box.
Yeah, so you would have your buy box, right, including the states. So if someone was trying to underwrite a deal and it wasn't even in your state, like, the user wouldn't even be able to send it to you because it's not in your buy box.
You know how many Texas deals I get? I'm like, I'm not buying single family houses in Texas.
it has to fit your criteria, right? And it'll give them a ranking score. You don't have to have this back and forth. Like, it will literally tell them, like, bold in their face, yes, this is a deal that Ingrid would buy. No, it's not. And it becomes a very cut and dry conversation at that point. And, you know, it's meant to save people a lot of time, and especially with people that are scaling. I could actually, let's see.
You want to share? I know I'm like, I got to see what this looks like, or what the experience is like. If you guys are in the chat, Instagram,
so I'll share the free version. It's not really out yet for the free users, because again,
we're getting a sneak peek. We're like, you're telling us like what's coming, and I love it.
The way I see the software and just like where AI is going and everything. Okay, hold on, give me a second. I have 3 monitors, so I got to figure out which one is. Hopefully, this is the right one.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Cool. So you can see the software. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think I may have to bring it on stage. Oh, there you go. Cool. Okay. So the way I see,
hold on. I have 40-something-year-old eyes. This is really hard to see.
I don't think I have much control. Let's see. On the zoom of the way it looks. Yeah. Are you able to zoom on your end? Let me see.
Let's see.
I can't remember how.
All I'm saying, it's black and it's like hard to read.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Let's see.
That's okay. Guide us. Walk us through.
I'm sure I could zoom in somehow. I have mine in dark mode, so I'm a dark mode guy.
I know. Save your eyes.
Let me try.
I do want to get those blue blockers, like the glasses. I'm slightly crunchy, and there we go. That's way better.
You go. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Zoom in a little bit. So there you go.
Thank you.
Again, this is the free version, right? What I'm working on. So you could select, obviously I'm selecting myself, but you could select something like obviously you. And now what you've done as the user, you've pulled in my buy box at this point. So now I can go ahead and I can start underwriting deals based on my buy box. So as I come in here and I put in, okay, 123 Main Street, and I'm going to start typing this in, right? Indianapolis, Indiana. And then I'm going to start putting in, 3-bed, 2-bath. And then I'm going to start putting in, the deal information. Obviously, I'm making all this up.
Is that the year you were born? Is that what you put 1985?
No, I didn't.
Are you a 90s baby?
I'm 89.
Oh, you're just cool.
Yep.
You're barely
Yep.
cool. Okay, cool. I was born in 82. That's why I said that. Okay.
And so when you would go in here, you would, as a bird dog, you would be putting in like really, really basic information, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to put in like what the purchase price is, what the rent is, all that kind of stuff, what the basic premise of the financing is. And then it's going to rank what my buy box is, and it's going to tell you exactly what the score is. Now, I haven't deployed this yet, so that's why you're not seeing a score, because I'm still working on it. But that's the concept for the free version, is that you're going to be able to underwrite for buyers. So you could underwrite for me, you could underwrite for Ingryd, and then be able to send them, send those buyers all those deals. So then you would have your matches of buyers coming in here. And so like you would see me on the list, and then you would be able to send it to all these buyers. Once you send it to the buyer, you can then have a conversation. And you as the buyer would have to approve that conversation before you guys can actually talk. So if you don't want to talk to them, you don't have to talk to them. But if you're interested in the deal, then you guys can start a conversation. And then this is a great way to kind of flush out all of those like bad deals. And you don't have to worry about the education, because it's giving them that real-time feedback as they're underwriting. Yeah.
This is teaching without having to teach, because they can go in here and be like, these are attributes you must submit in order for it to make sense. Now, can you do cash and can you do creative?
So right now I have traditional. So like obviously you get a loan, bring a down payment, that kind of stuff. Then I have sub 2, Morby methods, seller finance, co-living, multifamily, single family, obviously, STR. So the ones I'm working on right now would be fix and flip, and then mobile home park and RV parks. But a lot of people, they're just like in the meantime, when I'm developing the mobile home park and RV park, a lot of people are just reusing the multifamily one, because it's similar enough to where it's like NOI driven. Like rent is rent. If you just look at it from a number perspective, rent is rent, expenses are expenses, NOI is NOI. It's the same. So a lot of people are doing that, but those are the 3 ones that I'm working on kind of finishing out over the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And then you can see the different strategies that would underwrite based on my buy box, right? If I have, whenever I finish my buy box, because right now I just kind of have it open for testing. But whenever I like truly set my buy box, like you won't see sub 2, because I don't want to buy sub 2. And that'll be the same for other people when they have, their buy box as well.
Do you know what's crazy is that you were calling it buy box club. And I was like, I don't get why he's calling his, and here, right? This is me not being curious and just like trying to figure out what the heck. I was just like, why is he calling it a club? Like, that makes no sense to me. This is somebody who's just trying to use a term that is being now I get it. Cause you're in the club. You're like, hey, are you going to be one of those people who puts their buy boxes out there? Like, a club requires more than one person. So you're like interacting with your bird dogs, or like your seekers, like people seeking deals for you. And this cleans up so much. It does so much, like as Pace says, Pace Morby, he says, 5 birds, 1 stone. Like, you're teaching your bird dogs. You're also setting boundaries. Like, trust me, you guys, I love all of you. I love talking to all of you. If you ask me where's the link, I will send you the link. I'm just kidding.
I will not send you the link. I'm sorry. Like I will straight up like not answer you. You're just not getting an answer. If I know the link's been provided.
Yeah, Mundo and I are different. But it is time consuming. So this is very much valuable, especially when so many folks want to send you deals and you want to work deals out. You want that. Like one of my, selfishly is like, I love doing deals with somebody who's never done a deal or not done like a good deal. And then I get to do a deal with them. And like, I'm forever in their brain. Like, I don't know if you know, like Eric Ballman.
Yeah.
I purposely did not buy a couple of duplexes in Mesa, Arizona. I should have, but I didn't because I knew that was going to be his first wholesale deal. And I already had it under contract. So I told Eric, I was like, I will assign it to you and you can assign it to Pace. And I gave him his first wholesale deal.
Wow.
So I was like, that's how much I wanted the story and the impact more so than I wanted the properties. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and now like Eric will never forget me because I was a part of his story of getting into real estate. So
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's an experience, or at least a high level experience of like, if I'm a bird dog, I'm trying to figure out, bro, like, how do I get a hold? So I, as a buy box holder, I get to choose, at least, I guess I get it. I know you're still kind of building this out. I get to choose whether or not I want to be public. Like maybe if I want to stay private and only send a link to specific people, or how is that going to work?
Yeah. So by default, everyone, like if you're coming on the platform, like your buy box is like searchable. I don't have like the full public list available. So it's more of a, at least as of right now, unless, a lot of people tell me they want something otherwise. It's more like, for example, if you look here, you really have to know who you're searching for. I don't have like an open list of, hey, here's all my customers, because, from a business perspective too, I don't want to be like, hey guys, here's all my customers, So you have to know who you're searching for. So for example, like, if you want to search for Jay Holder, for example, you have to know the buyer you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So you would type in their name and then they would come up, right? If you're looking for me, you would type in my name and then I would come up.
So I guess what I was thinking, and maybe this is a feature request because I can't help myself. I do this with Raz all the time, by the way, is like having that public or private check mark. Because what I was thinking, like, let's say that you do put Mundo on the top, it looked like on the matches below says, oh, not only did you hit Mundo's buy box, but you hit all these other people's buy boxes too.
Correct. Yeah. So again, I'm still working on the actual full version. We can dive into that if you want. That one does work. This is the free version that hasn't been really released yet. But as the bird dog, because this is a free version for them to use, they can't see the identities of those people. Right? The way it works is you could go and say, hey, I want to send it to everybody that fits this criteria. And if I go, let's see, if I go far enough, you can see there's people where it doesn't even pass their threshold and you can't even send it to them. Because it doesn't it doesn't meet the requirements. So those are people that have decided, hey, I don't want to see this crappy deal. Don't even send it to me.
That is too awesome. Oh, we got Laura. We got Laura in the crowd. Hi, Laura.
Hey, what's going on?
So, okay, this just made it so much better in my head. Okay, that's fantastic. So if I actually prefer this, that you can't see the buyer's name, because it's at the end of the day, this is a business. So if it does meet everybody else's criteria, it gets sent to them. So all the bird dog knows is that I matched with 10. I've sent 10 out. And then it's really in my court, if you will, as somebody buying assets, whether or not I want to interact with that bird buyer or that bird dog.
Correct. Yep. Now on the paid version, that you will see the full buyers list. You'll see the people, if they've chosen to be public, you'll see their profiles out there. And you can make your profile like hidden if you just like don't want those kind of matches, and you can just use it for underwriting if you want. But by default, everyone is coming on there and they're public. So as a paid user, if you're a wholesaler looking to scale, you would be able to directly contact them without waiting on those responses, because you know exactly who it is, who you're matching with. And it's a different user experience. As let me stop sharing for a second and get into the main platform.
That is so cool. Okay. I like where this is headed. What do you guys think in the audience? You think that this is, give me a yes if you think it's cool. I had somebody make my colors melt, say, sounds awesome, out on Instagram. It's always funny when I have to try to read people's YouTube stuff or Instagram stuff.
And so this would be the more like commercial paid version.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you mentioned that you had a deal that you wanted to take a look at. So this looks very similar to the first part of the free version, which is like the first level pass. But what I will say, before I even like dive into that, what I will say for people watching, if they want this free version of the calculator, which is, I use this personally myself. So like, it's not just, hey, this is a really watered down version, take this. I use this version of the calculator for helping me make one decision. Should I spend more than a minute looking at this deal? So for example, one of the biggest problems that I see is when people don't understand debt service and like what those numbers like model out to be, they don't know what a deal, whether it's a deal or not a deal, just based on the loan amount, right? So for example, let's say I'm going to buy something that is $5 million, right? And I had this happen last week. And so someone sent me this RV park, and I can't remember what the exact number was, but let's just say the NOI was $200,000. Well, at first glance, like, oh, $200,000, like that makes a lot of money, right? But what people don't take into consideration is the debt service. So what I use this for, this very, very basic free version, like you don't even have to log in to use this. Like I can just send you the link. I look at this and say, okay, what's the purchase price? What's the NOI? And then you can do the same thing in residential and just see, does the debt service even cover the NOI? Like that's like the most fundamental thing for me. Like if my loan payments are higher than the NOI, I don't need to look at expenses or, what their maintenance is. Like I already know this is not a deal. I can't make that work. If I can't even pay the debt payment, like how am I going to afford the HOA and like, all this other stuff, right? Like you just can't make that work. So this is like my first pass. If someone's sending me something, I'll just say, okay, what's the purchase price? What's the NOI? Same thing on the residential side. Like what's the monthly rent? What's the purchase price? And I'll plug in like the PITI essentially. And if the rent can't even cover the PITI, like there's nothing else for me to look at.
Right.
So I use this as like my first pass before I get into something that's like more of the full, underwriting version. Now I could probably spend the next 2 hours doing this, so I won't quite do that, but this will kind of just at least give you an idea of, when you start putting more information in here as far as, if we go and look at, let me put in some, again, I'm not doing a full tutorial right now. So let me just put in some basic information. I'm just making numbers up on what that looks like. So when you go in here and you start putting in NOI information, let's see. I'll just fill all this in.
I was going to say, like, I'm starting to do a lot more commercial deals. And it seems like this, again, because the fundamentals are there. It's like NOI. So technically I could leverage this for other types of what do you call it? Commercial type products like flex warehousing or medical offices. I'm looking at medical offices right now, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So like for me, Morby method is like one of the more complicated strategies for people to figure out. So you just put in some basic high level information, purchase price and rent. and then it'll break down the financing for you, and it'll give you the underwriting. And that's basically the entire purpose of this, is to save time. Like that's really what it's about, is to save time, help someone understand, hey, should I spend more time and do the actual due diligence? Because there's nothing that's going to automate that. Like you're going to have to go on site. If you're talking about multifamily, you're going to have to go on site. You're going to have to get the T12s and like all that stuff. But do I even need to get to that point is the problem that we're solving here. And then also the lead acquisition of, pulling leads, sending out LOIs, getting interest, and like automating that whole like front end process is basically what the software is focused on. And it'll model out a full 10-year pro forma based on whatever your exit is, whatever your refinance is. So you can see the debt being casted out in the future. And that's usually like the biggest issue, is when people don't understand what their exit is. And they get too over leveraged. And what this model does is basically project all of that out for you. So you don't have to understand that. It basically tells you what all that looks like, and it'll tell you if you're over leveraged or not.
Okay. And then kind of gives you the model of like, hey, if you have a balloon at 3 years, like, dummy, don't do it.
Correct. Exactly. So if you were going to do a 3-year, then that would probably not be good. Right. So in this case, we have a 7-year balloon here, and this is showing, okay, here's the debt service over those 6 years. And then in year 7, that's when you're going to have to refinance into a new loan.
Yeah. Or at least have that be your bottom line balloon. If you can get to 10 or 15, that's even better. Correct. And generally speaking, guys, I know I like to say balloons are for clowns, but still like go 12 to 15 and then work your way down to 7 to 10. That's the safer bet. Because I've gotten myself in a tight situation with balloons before. In fact, we have like a property that's worth over $1 million. And I'm already thinking, okay, in a year and a half, what are going to be my exit strategies? I will say this though. We have villainized interest-only loans, and we shouldn't. Interest-only loans are a way for us to help ourselves out when things get a little bit tighter with refinancing some of these deals out, especially in a high interest rate environment. So I would say to all of you, I'm a traditionalist at heart when it comes to investments. I love equity. I love cash deals. Do I know creative finance? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Among the best of them, if I'm going to toot my own horn. But the fundamentals of investments still hold true. Good equity, good cash deals are still going to kill the market out there and put you in a really good financial position 5 to 10 years from now. So anywho, all to say is I had this scenario where we had a 5-year balloon, and she negotiated me down from 10, by the way. So good, kudo on the seller. But it was such a great, it's like a class A property that in a 2.75 interest rate, we're like, okay, I did the math and I was like, okay, the pay down by then with the balloon and our business partner who put her money into it, we're like, okay, she'll detach, like worst case scenario, she'll detach her entry, we'll refinance it into a loan, thinking amortized at the time. But now I'm like, oh, we can just do interest only and like cut ourselves like a good $1,200 a month. And anyways, so all to say is do not let go of the traditional investment tools out there, which include interest only loans.
Yeah. Cause like if we look at this real quick, if I just move this to like a 3-year balloon now, if you look at the bank loan, the pay down of the debt, it's at 1.38. Again, this is made up numbers, but 1.384, and it's going down to 1.367 and then 1.349. You really aren't paying that much down over a 3-year period on a really, really large loan. So it's like, I think it's more of a mindset thing of like, do you care about cash flow and making sure you can service the debt and being in a good, stable position? Or are you just like fixated on this burden of, oh, I'm paying interest only and I'm not getting pay down? Well, the reality is you're really not getting much pay down anyways. So you might as well just take the cash flow benefit and then, get it on the back end, right?
Right.
So most of the loans, they front load, not most of them, all of them, they front load the interest, right? You're paying almost all interest in the beginning of when you're doing this. So
a lot
of times it makes sense.
We had a guy come onto the podcast who talked about how with an interest only strategy, you can actually pay off your primary home like within 5 to 7 years. Using interest only tools. Yeah. So if we had a guy on the podcast who did it, unfortunately, they weren't the best at dealing with all the leads they got from our podcast, and then then figuring out that somebody from Arizona needs this type of loan and I don't have somebody who can help them. So then they just would never hear back. And so I'm probably going to work with Jeremy Demers to come on the podcast and kind of talk through, because he can do deals nationwide and really kind of show people that you could use this on the investing side or the primary home side, that if you have enough cash flow and you have other means of active income, that you literally could pay off even your investments in 5 to 7 years. If you have enough in your cash flow that you're okay reinvesting into the property, into the debt, really. So I think that's why understanding how the mortgage industry and how amortization schedules in the mortgage industry really are there to serve the bank. It's why you're going to start getting emails and marketing at year 7, because less than 2% of people keep their mortgages past year 7. Most people sell or refinance. So anyway, all right. That was off topic, but this is fantastic. I am super stoked about how somebody could. So if somebody wants to join your Buy Box Club, what's the process? Forget the free version. I get it. Free version is going to be great, especially for those folks who are like, how do I get started in real estate and what tools should I have? Obviously, this is a fantastic tool if it's a free tool, because not only are you giving them education by yo, dude, this is a deal or no deal, but 2, connecting them with people who are actual buyers, people who are actually, not only are they buyers, they're putting their money where their buyer box is, right? But somebody like me this is almost like having an employee, I needed somebody to oversee these entries that people are submitting, which I really do need that. What does it take for me to join Buy Box Club?
Yeah, it's just simple. You just go to buyboxclub.io and I'll show you one of the things it actually ran before I could even share my screen, but this is for me one of the more powerful things where I'm searching. Okay, I'm looking at on-market leads of Indianapolis, Indiana, and it pulls the leads just like a normal, data aggregator, and it will underwrite them all without me even touching them. So it told me from the 50 that I just pulled in right now, 11 of them passed my underwriting and 32 failed. So what I do to scale this out is I just send LOIs to the 11 that passed. What? And then when I send those LOIs out, I know I'm not dealing with junk. I know I'm dealing with a deal that may need some tweaking and negotiating, but it's something good enough to where I don't have to waste my time. And because the most awkward conversation is when I was bulk sending LOIs, just without underwriting. I would have to explain to the agent 10 minutes later why I don't want to buy the deal. And that's an awkward conversation to have. And so now when I send out an LOI, I know it's good enough to at least have a potential to be a deal.
Wait.
And so in this example, I filtered on
Mundo Sanchez. This tool will also send LOIs based on AI the AI formulating your buy box.
Yeah. So if you go into here, for example,
you saved the best for last. What the hey?
If you go into your buy box, for example, I have my LOI settings that have my terms.
Even your signature.
Yeah, no, I even put my my blink in there too. which is, for me, it's a nice touch because if you
Yeah, you're
have
not a
like
stranger. You're
you
like,
have your bank signature,
middleman.
it looks like you actually sent the email and it's not
Yeah.
just CRM spam, which is a really nice touch. But you can go in here and customize like the terms of your, LOI, or you can just leave it default, obviously, and change all that stuff. But that's what it's pulling from as it's underwriting all those deals. So if I'm going in here and again, I'll just kind of do that again real quick.
Bro, take my money. This is crazy.
And so you can see.
Can you do land? Because Laura does land.
I don't know. I haven't really focused on land that much. So like I don't honestly know. That would be good for me to look into. I really just focus on like demand. Like whatever the demand is, that's really what I focus on building out. And then so for me, I would just send LOIs to like the 18 people that, that hit my past list on here. So that's how I'm using to like scale and like, have higher quality leads. And one of the things I'm working on is actually automating this. This is really funny of like how lazy users are, not to dog on existing users because I love them, but even myself, like myself, I've been so busy. I haven't, like, this literally took a few clicks to do, and I haven't even had the time or the mental capacity to go in here and do this. So one of the things I'm working on over the next couple of weeks is to automate this in the sense that you don't even need to log in. You just set up your market, and then it just goes through the system every day and just sends out the LOIs for the deals that passed your buy box. And you just have responses coming in your mailbox like all day long. So because I really see the future of software usage, like people aren't even going to log into their apps anymore. They don't care about the user experience. They care about the output. Like, what value are you generating for my business? That's what people care about. And so I'm focusing on those kind of things to like help automate that to where people say, hey, I'm taking Indianapolis, Indiana market, and it's just going to run through and underwrite deals as they come in and send out the LOIs. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to limit it to like people can only have certain markets. Like
I was just going to ask you that. Yeah, I'm like, I claim Arizona. Yeah.
I'm thinking like maybe it's like, I don't know, maybe you can pick like maybe there's like 2 or 3 depending on the market size of people that can actually have access to it. Because this is an unfair advantage, and I don't want to kill that unfair advantage for people. I don't want to saturate the market and like, okay, now there's 500 people that are hitting Indianapolis with the same LOI and the same like, although everyone's buy boxes and offers would be different, like I can go and customize what my down payment offer would be to the seller on a Morby method, right? For example.
Right.
People will have different offers in that sense, but like I don't really want it saturated. So I think I'm going to kind of restrict and give access to like, and really kind of like gatekeep that a little bit. I think it just makes it more valuable for the people that are using it, knowing that they don't have like that type of competition. I mean, there's people that, obviously there's softwares out there that'll help facilitate sending LOIs, but the difference here is that it's underwritten already from your buy box. Like that's the big difference.
This is just email centric. So you're doing direct to agent on this essentially if a property's listed.
Correct. You could, bring in leads that are off market. And that's one of the things I'm working on is I have off market data, but one of the things I'm working on is giving that ability for, if someone wanted to do skip tracing or something like that, they could do that, run through that and get the contact information and send it out.
Wow. Okay. And then my brain is going crazy right now because you could do some of the incorporations that other CRMs do, which is like they'll do like a print integration. So I'm thinking like of Laura who does land, right?
Yeah.
If she has a data set, she wants to figure out based on my buy box, here's the list of data that I just pulled from dealsauce.io, right? Throw it in here so it compares it to my buy box. And then it sends out postcards or print marketing so that then
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is so dope.
And so also the other thing I'm doing, so this is kind of like the all-encompassing, eventually this will be like a CRM where it's like everything you need to get deals done is managed in this one place. But what I've also rolling out next week is a API. So it's an API only subscription. So if people are using Claude Code or things like that, they'll be able to pay at like a much lower cost, but they don't get the user experience of sending out LOIs and like all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
if they just care about the access to the data and have it underwriting their buy box, they
Mm-hmm.
could tap into the API, the underwriting engine that I've built, and put that into their Claude Code and be able to, sync that into their AI agent. If you're using, Molly, or if you're using whatever else, you can get your AI agent to connect to the API that takes care of that underwriting layer. And then that way you don't have to worry about like major integration or disruptions into your other business. You can just take the API and feed it into what you're already doing. So that's another thing that I'm working on doing, as well as part of that like automation. Because again, I really do think the future of applications is going to be voice driven. It's going to be like background, like I'm paying for the outputs, not necessarily me having to like
The interface.
navigate. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
interface, like it all needs to, the way things are going, it just all needs to
Yeah.
be automated, right? So like
I
that's the
just
direction
imagine
that I'm
Jarvis
going.
talking to what the heck is his name? From Marvel, Iron Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
That
Iron
that
Man
is
didn't have an interface. He just talked to Jarvis and Jarvis was like, "Boop, pop. Oh, here's all the things you asked for." It's like, oh shoot. Yeah.
those are definitely things in the works that I'm working on, as far as like that voice, like talking to the app and having it like underwrite and like make changes to the deal and that kind of stuff.
Do you know
For
what's
sure.
wild? In my corporate environment, I still remember back in 2013, 2014, like our VP and CMO, like the really high, like high up guys, right? We were having this conversation about restaurant owners and managers and whatnot. They're like, they're not going to want to interact with their computer. They're just going to want to talk to their like Alexa, right?
Yeah.
And that was 14 years ago. And it feels like we're just now finally coming into that inflection point where it actually makes more sense, because the CPU power that we have now like does not compare to what it was then, and just like the level of process. This is crazy. This is so cool. I
Yeah,
love it.
it's crazy. I mean, there's still a lot of stuff that I want to deploy, like that whole I am working on building AI directly into it to where it can, throw in T12s and like just have that spit out into the deal. Like there's a
Mhm.
lot of like things in the next couple of months that
Yeah.
because it's already looked, night and day different than what it was, 3-4 months ago. So it's just continuing to iterate and just get better and better, and just trying to, create something that people, can plug into their AI and really automate and scale their business, because that's
Wow.
really what it's for. I mean, people don't pay subscriptions just for the fun of it, right? They want an outcome, and that
Well,
outcome is the deal.
and let me speak from like my own personal experience, where it's like I've worked really hard to create trust with my audience and trust with people who know that I'm like a real buyer and I do purchase, and that like I'm here to answer questions and all that. And that's very much like a front person facing type of thing. And
Yeah.
this is very administrative heavy, right? So like I always feel terrible when I may not be able to keep up with what people are submitting to me, because it's so administratively burdened and I want to give good service, but I just haven't built out my team. Not built out the team in a way that serves them too, right? In the same capacity that I would when I'm front facing. So this is such a helpful tool for especially somebody in my shoes where I want to focus on working on the business, not in the business. That's what this is. That takes you out of the in part, and the in part becomes more automated, right? I'm even thinking about my team that like, hey, they really want to have more leads that are significant, and here I am working on the person to person, when the direct to agent here is a way that we're supposed to be approaching the market anyways. But so much of it is, again, administratively burdensome even on them. And like you said earlier, sending LOIs based on like a high level formula, I'm like, okay, well, now let's set LOIs where you're taking a much stronger formulaic standpoint based on real up-to-date data. And I was like, I'm so excited for my team now, because I'm like, I'm going to be able to provide them better leads. I'm going to be able to interact with my audience that sends us opportunities in a much more valuable capacity. Like, this is freaking cool. Like, well done, Mundo. This is pretty cool.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a journey. But I also like help people out, close deals, and like you also like it's not just the software. You kind of get access to the background and history of and my experience, and I get on calls weekly and help people underwrite deals and close deals. And I've even getting on calls like negotiating deals. That has nothing to do with the software. Like that's just me like helping members out, closing deals.
And you can do that because now the foundation of getting opportunities for you to be able to be an actual investor are being taken care of.
A lot of the people that have like really plugged in on the platform, like they have access to a lot of amazing training, and it's really different when I'm talking to someone that has that training and background. I can plug in and help them, and especially when we're looking at apples to apples, it doesn't take me more than 5 minutes to like figure out what their problem is and give them that answer that they need. But if you take someone that doesn't have that foundational knowledge or doesn't have access to the same tool, it's like in my head, it's just like, oh dear God, I got to go through 20 hours of an explanation before I can even land the plane for them to like understand what this needs to look like. And those are times where I'm just like, I'll pass. Like I don't have time to dive that deep. But for the people on the platform, like they have access to all that training and like all that kind of stuff. So like it makes it pretty easy for me to help people at that point.
Yeah, this is how you impact hundreds of people. I love it so much, Mundo. Okay, Laura says, this is some serious value here. I would pay to be able to napkin underwrite with the debt service. So not even go as far as you've gone. So that you definitely
I appreciate that.
Not only is it a time suck, but it's a mental, it takes mental energy that could now go elsewhere. So this is great.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I built it in the beginning, is because I wanted something that was easy to use. And like really the main value that people are going to see over the next couple months is deal flow. So you're going to see me start talking and giving a lot of education to free users. Like my business model in my mind, now I could be making a big bet and look stupid, but at the very least I'll end up helping people. In my mind, the success of the platform is deal flow on the network. And so I'm going to be, the way to do that is to attract the bird dogs and attract that deal flow volume of people underwriting and submitting deals. And so if I can drive that free traffic here, people on the platform, they're going to be getting emails. You have a deal, you have a deal, you have a deal. It's like, that is how you create, long-term customer loyalty. Obviously, like at that point, it's like, who would want to cancel anything where they're consistently getting leads sent from people? Not only could you pull leads yourself and send LOIs, but like legit deals under contract are being sent to you every week that have hit your buy box. So like that is my core focus over the next couple months.
In my brain, it's like, wow, you can have DSCR lenders who could already have access to all the underwriting components, and they can already do pre-approvals because you have so much information that's already pre-calculated where they can give a faster yes or no. So if you're fundamentals again, guys, so if you're somebody who's taking care of your credit score, you're taking care of your, your late's history. I've never had a late ever. And so then if you're taking care of being a credit worthy person, this would be a tool in the long run. I'm giving you ideas, which you probably already had. You're like, Ingrid, you're Ingrid-splaining me. It's okay. This is now a way for you to create leads with other B2B people who would want those credit worthy people who are ready to take on more assets.
Yeah. So I have the ability so that it exists. It's there now. I just don't have the network of what I've been focused on. So I do have not only like buy box matches of investors, but I have what I call resource matches. So TCs, DSCR loan, lenders, that kind of stuff, accountants, that kind of stuff, lenders, PMLs. So PMLs, there's also a lenders tab. So if you're looking for a deal and there's PML, I have a couple PMLs on the network and that are just looking at deals. And if you're looking for funding and you see PMLs that match, you already know that this deal could be a good fit based on your underwriting. And then you can reach out and have a relationship with that PML and obviously hopefully get the deal funded.
Yeah. That's so dope. I love
and
it.
all of that is, that takes volume, right? Like you have to have the network, and that's where the value, and that's where I'm spending the most time over the next couple months, in addition to implementing all that stuff. So definitely staying busy.
Love it. Very, very cool. Well, everyone, and I wrote it right, buyboxclub.io, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, yep. Fantastic. Okay, so if folks want to join the club, that's where they go, or come and do they DM you? Do they ask for the link in your Instagram?
No? Yeah, people can. They can ask for. I get people reaching out, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, text message, email, like all this stuff. So
what is your Instagram name?
It's just my name.
Mundo Sanchez?
Oh, yep.
Okay, guys. Mundo Sanchez, or I'm typing here, buyboxclub.io. So thank you so much for spending the last hour with me and showing me, I know you've been talking about this a lot, and I have just had no bandwidth on my end because I don't have this tool to help me deal with my bandwidth. So this is super exciting to me from the bandwidth perspective, and giving my team opportunities to make money, honestly. So this is fantastic. Cool. Right on.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Right on. Cool. Well, guys, this has been the Explain It podcast with Mundo Sanchez. We are here every Wednesday, 1 to 2 p.m. Arizona time. And when it's really good, we go over like we did today. I want to thank you, Mundo, for coming on here, showing us this really cool tool that can help us in our business. And it's not just whimsical. It's like, this is tactical. Go use it. Go get your deals done. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, we'll catch you next week on the Explain It podcast.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.